Hey there, welcome back. In this lecture I'm going to show you how you can export the scraped data to a CSV file if you are working with those and need to use them in any way. Firstly, if you don't know what a CSV file is basically a comma-separated value file in which the first line would represent the keys and the other lines represent the rows with the values for those specific keys. And of course, each value would be separated with a comma. Let me show you a quick sample, and I'm going to drag this right here. And if you look at it, you can clearly see the first line has the IDs, which would be the ID, the name, and the age, those that I specified, but you can specify as many as you want. And then afterwards, there would be the actual records. So as you can see, creating a CSV file is not something so complicated. And you do not need necessarily a library to do so, but it is good to use a maintained library that does the job with 2 or 3 lines of code instead of creating and maintaining your code every time. So if you want to build a CSV generator for fun or to learn stuff, you can do it. But if you're looking to get stuff done quick and easy, which most people do, then you should use something like JSON to CSV, which is a npm and GitHub package that you can use directly with nodeJs. So this is exactly what we're going to do. Let me drag this window right here, and I'm going to search for JSON to CSV. And I'm going to go to the first result, which is this. And then I'm going to access the GitHub repository, and let's see how we can get this up and running. Let's see right here how to install. We can install it with this command right here, npm install JSON to CSV, and we are going to save it on the project. Copy this, make this a bit more smaller, and go right here. I'm going to open up the console, actually the terminal, and I'm going to paste the command right here, enter, and this is going to save it, and now we can use it into our code. So I'm going to go back to the index.js, close the terminal, and now instead of saving the data as JSON just like we did previously, we want to convert it to CSV data and then save it to the file. So for the moment I'm going to comment out this line, and let's go back to the documentation, see how we can import this. Let's go just a bit down, more down, and right here we already have an example, and I'm going to copy this part right here and import it just at the top. Now let's go back to the documentation and see an example. Let's go just a bit below. Right here we have a perfect example that fits our use case also. So we basically have an array of objects and we want to convert those to CSV. In our case we have 2 movies with multiple data in each of them, and we are going to convert those to CSV data. And by looking at this example, you would need to specify the fields of the JSON object that you want to have converted, and then basically input your data into it. So let's go ahead and test this out ourselves. So I'm going to go right here, right at the bottom, and then I'm going to say constant fields, and let's say I want the title and the rating only from these data that we have. Okay, we have the fields now, and now let's copy these 2 lines and paste them back right here. And instead of using my cars, we are going to use the movies data array, which holds all the data. And so this should be pretty much it. If we did this properly, we should have a working CSV. And instead of logging movies data, I want to output the actual CSV data. So let's start to run it and see what we have. So it seems that it's finished. Let's open up the console and see what we have. And of course, as you can see, it works properly. We have the title and the rating as the keys, and below we have the actual results of the movie's data, which is the title and then the rating. Right now, the only thing left to do is actually put them in a file. And we can easily do this with the command that we've used before, which is fs write file sync, and instead of writing the data as JSON, we are going to write it as CSV. And I'm going to uncomment this line, and I'm going to say data.csv, and instead of JSON stringify the movie data, I'm going to output the CSV. And we save the file, and then after we start to run it, we should have a file generated. Let's see if it works. It outputs, which means we should check the files also. And of course, we have a data.csv file, which contains the proper data that we need. Pretty nice. And now, before I'm ending this short lecture, let me show you a quick tip. If you don't want to specify any fields, if you don't want to specify all the fields, and you want to get actually everything from the array, then you can basically remove this line and remove this from right here. And then this will output everything that you have in the array. Let's give it a quick try and see if it works. Okay, it stopped. Let's check the actual file, data.csv, and we have the title, the rating, the poster, total ratings, the release date, and the genres, which means it works properly and we have everything that we want here. And I'm going to end it right here. If you're not using this right now, maybe in the future you're going to deal with CSV files, and you can use this as a short introduction on how to do it, because generating a CSV file like this doesn't necessarily have to do with scraping. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.